Welcome to episode 686 of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or true paranormal stories. I totally lost my train out there. Anyway, all those things, or if you have accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust, happy to share those on the show. Whether you write them in or you care to join me on the show in person. So, I'm obviously a bit rusty here. It's been a little while since I've done some recordings. As always, you can... so yeah, there's all that first. Thank you for being here and listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord, or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, there are different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platforms. You can find books I've written over on Amazon, including my most recent release, Salsido Paranormal Experiences. You can sign up for the Patreon page. I have an update about that, but there are several episodes there already. So I have an announcement I'll make after I get done with this introduction here. You can also just make one-time donations to PayPal through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. So, first off, thank you all for being here and or listening. As you've all probably noticed, even if you haven't kept track of any of my sort of social media announcements or my announcements on Discord, had to take a little bit of a break due to my eyes getting worse in terms of eye strain and light sensitivity. They've been doing this slowly over time. This time it just hit harder than it has before in other cases. And it took me a while to get adjusted to that, to the way that things are now. And I wasn't even sure for a while if I was still going to be able to do the show much at all. So, but I'm going to keep going with it, obviously. I'm here. I enjoy it too much to just stop. And I may have an announcement soon regarding some different kinds of episodes. Hope to do with a friend. But until we figure out more of the details on that, that's all I will say for now. But as for the Patreon episodes, I am going to stop making new episodes for that for now until we get more interest in it. So there won't be any more, at least not on a regular basis, there won't be any more new episodes on the Patreon feed for a while. But there's still 20 episodes there you can check out. So, and I would definitely appreciate anyone joining that platform, if possible, to help support the show and possibly make it easier to do more shows in the future. So, because as of right now, I'm going to have to cut down. That's my other sort of announcement here. I'm going to I'm recording these 3 shows tonight as I'm recording this, that will come out over this next week. And then after that, from then on, I plan on recording at least 2 shows per week, whenever possible. There may be some weeks where I still can't do it. Then there'll be, I'm going to focus mostly on these true paranormal stories from the web shows. And then whenever I am able, I have the material ready, and I feel up to it, I will record extra shows of the episodes of the other show types that I've done before, which will be the review shows, all the books and movies and TV shows and comic book review shows, all those things, and then haunted places in the U.S. Those shows will be around here and there. They just will be extras, and they'll just still go on the main feed, but I will do them when I have the ability to do so without overdoing it with my eyes and everything. So I don't like coming back. I tried to avoid it for as long as I could, but yeah, that's the way it's going to have to be for now anyway. I think that takes care of everything for now. Thank you all for supporting the show and bearing with me as I figure all this out. And yeah, so that's where we're at right now. And I believe with that, I can get to the true paranormal stories from the web here that I've missed doing these shows. So I'm looking forward to covering these and seeing what we can learn from them, learn from these accounts. So let me get to the Word file here, and we'll get started. And again, thank you all for listening. So this one says, I had a strange dream while sleeping at a friend's house. In the dream, I was at my friend's house with dimmed lights. My grandmother was sitting silently on the couch in the dream, not talking or moving. I do not recall much else from the dream besides the setting and my grandmother's presence. The next morning, my grandmother called and shared that she experienced something strange. She woke up around 3 or 4 a.m., hearing my voice calling, "Grandma?" I shared the dream with my grandmother, after hearing her story. I'm not sure if this was a coincidence or something else. The only thing that came up when I looked into similar experiences online were posts, I guess, about astral projection, and that's where that one ends. And obviously, we never know anything for sure, but that one, it seems to all fit, at least to me anyway. That's very, very much what it sounds like. It sounds like maybe the grandmother was thinking of their grandchild, and so I do think thought has a lot to do with a lot of anomalous experiences. I don't know how it works or why it works in some cases and not in others, but and so the grandmother may have somehow entered. I don't even know. Maybe if it wasn't even necessarily an out of body experience for the grandmother, maybe it was just some kind of connection through the dream realm, through sleep, through, I don't know, through sleep and through consciousness. I wonder, because the writer did say there too that the grandmother heard them calling for her. So did she go there because she was thinking of her grandchild, or did the writer somehow call out to their grandmother for whatever reason? Maybe just thinking of them, thinking of her. I don't know. Just depending on how close they were, maybe that was a common thing. And somehow the grandmother picked up on that and traveled there somehow through, again, it could be through the dream realm, through the connection of consciousness and wherever dreams take place. Or it could have been an out of body experience as well. And so it says here she woke up around 3 or 4 a.m. So I wonder, hearing the writer's voice calling her name, or calling calling grandma. So I wonder how close, what was the line of waking up versus of hearing their grandchild's voice? Did they hear the voice before they woke up or after they woke up or during? And there's a lot of gray area there as far as the timeline of all that. And I mean, we know that when you have dreams, they don't always follow time the way time appears to work here. So yeah, that's a wild one, but that's really amazing that there was that connection there that these two people that they had, at least during that one night, for whatever reason. So let me move on to the next one here. And I'll need to scroll down a little bit. Actually, quite a bit. Okay. Oh, not too far. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So this one says, I work in a dental practice spanning 3 floors. The ground floor contains the reception desk, 2 waiting areas, and 2 surgery rooms. The middle floor has 1 surgery room and a decontamination suite. The top floor is for the staff. There is a changing room, bathroom, kitchen, and seating area. The doors are always locked. Staff have keys and patients must request entry. So the staff knows exactly who is inside the building. I was in the decontamination room with a skeptical colleague. The colleague heard a groan over her shoulder while walking toward me, but I didn't make any noise. We laughed off the incident. That's where that sentence stops. One day during lunch, the team, except one colleague who was at the reception desk, heard a blood-curdling help, as in the voice, so a voice saying help, from below, sounding exactly like the colleague at reception. We heard the cry 4 more times and thought it was genuine. We rushed downstairs, but the colleague at reception was fine and hadn't heard anything, even though she should have if it came from outside. No one else was in the building. A colleague arrived early one morning and saw a figure in the second floor window where the previous groan sound had occurred. There were no lights on, the doors were padlocked, and the car park was empty, so no one should have been inside. Or could have been, yeah, should have been, sorry, there we go. The figure appeared as an opaque black shape with no distinguishable features, despite morning light hitting the window. Later that day, a patient's belongings kept falling off of a countertop while I was nearby, entering some information into our computer systems. The patient joked about it being the practice ghost, and practice as in the office or whatever, which unnerved me a little, and that's where that one ends. Sounds like they're just in an active building. I wonder about the history of the building. The mimicry is always strange. Makes me wonder why that is done. I don't know that there's a really good way to find out. Excuse me, to find the reason for that without engaging more in trying to communicate, and that can be that's something that everyone has to decide if they want to do on their own. And I've heard some stories about that going well, and others about that not going so well. So I never really recommend doing that. So they're seeing. It sounds like someone saw a shadow figure at one of the windows. They have movement of objects, things falling off the counter for no apparent reason. They have sounds. It just sounds like a really active building. I really wonder just about the history of the location. So, but yeah, it just sounds like there's a lot going on there. And I don't know. I mean, it is, in a way, it's a medical facility. And so many of those seem to have reports of paranormal activity, and they're not all by any means, but I don't know. I wonder also with all those electronics and everything, and especially if like the doors have any kind of electronic locks or whatever, key card. I don't know. I wonder if that could have something to do with that. But yeah, sounds like a lot going on there. I'd be curious if there was ever anything that happened before all this, before maybe the writers started working there, or after, as they worked there, or after they eventually stopped working there. If there'd be more accounts of weird experiences there. And there's no way to know because, well, first of all, because you get what you read on these posts, but also there's just sometimes you'll have a series of events that happen, or even just one event that happens that is unexplainable, and then there'll be nothing. And it may be nothing forever, or for years, or decades. And then, again, have one thing or a few things, and then nothing again for who knows how long. There's just not really any set patterns or ways of knowing when things happen and when they'll stop. Unless you're extremely sensitive to these kinds of things, I guess. So, moving on to the next one here. Let's see. Okay. This one says, I don't consider myself to be spiritual, despite the paranormal experiences I have had before. My grandmother passed away in August and has been sending signs to the family, especially to me. I keep photos of both of my grandmothers on a bookcase facing the bed, so they are the first thing I see in the morning. That morning, the photos were in their usual position. After returning from college and relaxing in bed, I noticed the photo of my recently deceased grandmother had moved. It had turned the wrong way from landscape to landscape instead of portrait, and was facing the wall. The photo frame is sturdy, and nothing like this has ever happened before. The house has no drafts or ventilation issues. I fixed the photo frame. I just want to understand what the experience means. I'm not afraid, as my grandmother loved me, but I am confused about how this could have happened. The picture was taken at my confirmation, the most recent photo I have with my grandmother, despite being 7 years old. I wonder if they mean the picture itself. There have been other signs I have seen, but am I reading too much into all of this? And that's where that one stops. It is odd in a way that one object would be moved after the passing of the grandmother, especially if objects don't normally move on that counter or on that the bookshelf. If there's not, if it's unstable, you would think that things would be happening like that here and there with any kind of vibration or movement of anyone or anything in the room at times. But so if it was just that one time, then I don't know. That does seem like possibly some kind of a sign. Does sound like the writer says they're having other experiences, not just with themselves, but with their family. So when there's that many people having experiences, possibly, then that to me says there may be something there, and it may be who they think it is, which is amazing. And yeah, so I don't know, but that's a neat one there. When it's just this one object that they've never had a problem with before, and it's connected to the person that passed and to them, and then it moves like that. That's yeah, that very well could be paranormal. Moving on to the next one here. This one says, let's see. Okay. I have a nightly routine of taking my 5-year-old child to bed, to the bed, and staying with him. Let me see here. Yeah, okay, I read that. That's a weird way to phrase that, but anyway. And staying with him until he falls asleep because he is afraid of being alone in the dark. Let me see here. I usually sit in a chair opposite the bed, but on this particular night, my son sat on my lap. While snuggling with the child, who said, "Mommy, I love you," I saw a sudden, quick flush of red light in the room. My phone, which was on the floor next to the chair, did not cause the light, as there were no notifications, and it does not emit that kind of light. I have seen similar flashes of light before, but never this intense, and they were never red. The previous ones were more like tiny electric sparks. The last time I saw such lights was months ago. There were no other unusual occurrences. Let me see here. Yeah, okay. Such as strange sounds, smells, or changes in room temperature that could explain the lights. I do not have issues with my eyes, as far as I know, and I have only ever seen this phenomenon in my son's room, and that's where that one ends. I don't know. I really wonder what the kid sees if they ever saw the light there when that happened. Either then again, if they were sort of, I guess, hugging the parent or whatever, then maybe they wouldn't have been looking forward, so they wouldn't have seen the flash of light. But yeah, I'd be curious if and I don't know if I'd want to do this because you don't want to bring things up if you don't need to. I'd be curious if the child ever saw or heard anything in that room. It doesn't say that they were afraid of the room. It doesn't say that they had any problems with it. So, except for being afraid to sleep in the dark alone, but that seems like a common enough thing without the paranormal being a cause for that. So, anyway, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.